When my dad was an early teen, he woke up one night due to the fact that he heard the landline in his parents' room ringing. So he went to his parents' room and knocked. His mum answered the door and said, "What's wrong, baby?" "Mama, the phone's ringing. It's Grandma. Uncle Jimmy's dead." My dad told me that he didn't know why he'd said it. It just came out of him. Right after that, his sister yelled bloody murder from her own room. So they rushed into the room to figure out what was going on. She said through sobs that Uncle Jimmy was dead, and that she saw him floating away on a cloud waving goodbye. Right after that, the phone in his parents' room rang again. It was his grandma informing them that Uncle Jimmy was in fact dead.
I've always had an interest in ghosts and the paranormal since I was a kid. When I was young, I used to see things I couldn't explain. One of the most notable times was when I was a kid, sleeping on the top bunk in a room with my brother. I woke up in the middle of the night, not really knowing why. When I looked over the shoulder of the bunk bed, I saw what looked like a chariot floating in the air going from right to left. The chariot was small, probably about the height of my hand. It moved in a snake-like way, slithering up and down like a sound wave or something. In the chariot sat a man and woman dressed in old-style Victorian clothing. The chariot was being drawn by a long row of horses side by side. It is worthwhile to note that the entire chariot was made up of what looked like fluorescent light in different shades of white, teal, green, and red. Once the first pair of horses hit a certain spot in the room, they disappeared, and each pair of horses, and finally the chariot, did the same, almost like they were going into an invisible portal. I would tell my parents about the things I saw, and it led to a few years of counseling. Knowing what I do now about the paranormal, I know that I wasn't in need of counseling at all, as I have no schizophrenic background or anything else that would explain seeing what I did. Skip forward to the age of 16. I had just recently got my driver's license at this time. I went out to go hang out with my friends in the neighboring town, and as night came, I decided I better get home because I still wasn't too fond of driving at night. Regardless, the sun was completely down and dark had come by the time that I left. The roads that take me from my friend's town back to mine are very rural, with either cornfields or forest on either side, no street lights, and hardly any traffic. I turned on the last rural road leading up to my neighborhood and started going up the steep hill on the street. As I reached the top of the hill and made my way over, I saw something strange. On the right side of the road, walking away from me with her back turned, was an old lady walking a small white dog. The lady was wearing a white gown with white high socks for tights and had old gray-white hair. Literally everything about this lady and her dog was pure white. I almost swerved out of shock because this is not a road you ever see anyone walking down. It's a 55-mile-per-hour road with no shoulder in the middle of the countryside. After I passed her, I looked in my window and she had vanished. I want to point out that the area I'm from is inhabited mostly by wealthy families that keep to themselves, so the chance of it being some sort of crackhead or whatever is 1 in a million. After I got home, I went to use the bathroom. I remember clearly thinking in my head, was that a ghost I saw? And as I was thinking that, a bottle of shampoo fell from the top shelf of a cabinet in my bathroom. This could be a coincidence, but never in my 10 years of living there has anything fallen off that shelf. There is a very famous ghost story from around my area, Chicagoland, of a lady called Resurrection Mary. She was hit and killed by a car in my town about an hour away from my house. Since the 1930s, she's been reported seen walking down the road hitchhiking in a white gown with blonde hair. I had not heard of this story until recently, and it got me thinking about the above experience. The description of the Resurrection Mary is pretty damn close to what I saw. I don't think that what I saw was her necessarily, especially considering the distance between her reported location and my sighting, but the similarities shocked me.
We got a phone call early one Saturday morning, but we didn't manage to get to it. We all had just woken up, but nobody answered it. Anyway, another call came through shortly after. My dad thought he better go answer it, so he went downstairs to get the receiver. When he'd answered it, it was my cousin on the other end. My dad just starts saying,
"Oh no. Oh no."
My mum was cranky because it was early, and she demanded to know who it was calling at this hour. My dad just said,
"It's Patrick. Pick up, honey."
so she picked up the phone in her room. And before my cousin had a chance to say anything, my mum started screaming. She knew her brother had died, and absolutely nothing had been said, as well as there being no history and no reason for her to assume that. She just knew.
My little sister used to talk to herself a lot when she was around 4. My dad asked her who she was talking to, and she said it was a little boy and gave a description. He figured it was just an imaginary friend, so he ignored it. A few months later, he was reading her a book about the history of the town, and she stopped on a page with a family and pointed to the youngest boy and said, "I know him. That's the boy I've been playing with." I flipped to the next page. Picture of our house. The kid died there. When she was turning 6 and had to make a wish blowing out the candles, she went from happy and excited to stoic and said in a flat voice, "I wish everyone was dead," then blew out the candles.
Hey guys, it's Mort here, and thank you so much for listening. I want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Davis for his work and stories in this video. He is an awesome creator, and I urge you to go check out the second half of the collaboration featuring some truly awesome stories. So click on the link on screen now to head on over. But perhaps before you go button smashing with your likes, why not click that juicy subscribe button? Go on. It's getting lonely. Finally though, I want to say thank you to all of you guys. We finally made it to the 1000 sub club. I'm really happy for this milestone, so thank you guys for your loyal viewership, and here's to another 1000. And in case you missed them, or have seen Mr. Davis's video already, here are some links to more stories. Because let's face it, you don't need sleep. Anyway, for now guys, I'm going to sign off so that you can click those other stories. Stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.